Okay, we got a few more people trickling in, but we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Ian Faison from Vetrepreneur. I am joined by Aaron Sari, who is the CEO of This Is Growth. He is a growth marketer, growth hacker extraordinaire. We're also joined by Aaron Gerlitz. Aaron is an IT project manager at a Fortune 100 company. And today we're going to be talking about how to generate revenue through Facebook. And we brought Aaron Gerlitz on because he co-manages a Facebook page that does kind of like satirical memes and different kind of funny things. They have a huge following. It's about 34,000 people. And we were talking about how do we monetize something where you have a good amount of people that like your content, that are interested in your content, and it's something that Aaron and the other co-manager of the page really enjoy providing this content to the audience. They love doing it, and hey, why don't we figure out a way to monetize this to make a little extra money each month? So we kind of set a goal at how can we make $1,000 a month from using Facebook, the Facebook presence that they already have, and provide amazing value to the customers. So let's get into it. Aaron, sorry, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, welcome everyone. So so today we're talking about other Aarons. I'll be Aaron 2 today since you're the guest. So Aaron 1's Facebook page called Do You Even Combro, which what I'm going to do here is I'll let him talk about it really quick, and I'll throw it up on screen share on my side, and then we'll dive into some fun growth strategies for that.
Yeah, so primarily my buddy started this a few years ago just as a meme page to share some funny jokes with other IT people in the military community, and it's grown to something where it's been shared with all kinds of different people over different IT communities, not only in U.S. military but all over, and basically just stupid memes, sometimes funny, sometimes actually stuff that's relevant, usually not politically or socially involved with anything like that, usually just funny things that, and sometimes inside jokes, honestly, to the comms community, but has grown to a pretty large amount. And we've thought about different ways to monetize it, and so far there's been a little attempt. You'll see it on there, a Zazzle.com link with some products they're trying to sell there just for fun, but nothing serious towards what we're talking about here today.
Cool. Yeah. So so jumping in on it, these kind of sites are, for anyone out there, if you're a creative person, if you're able to create good content, you might as well try to throw up, something like a Facebook page, start an Instagram account, anything like that, and just see what happens. You lose nothing. If you're already creating it anyway and having fun with it, it's totally worth your time to just see what happens. Everyone should try to start something in their life, and something like this is super low touch. At least to get started, and you never know, maybe you'll get 35,000 likes, like Aaron has. So one, it's pretty easy to create, and two, if you have good content, your audience will let you know what is working, so what other content to create. So here's 80 shares on this. I know there's another post that I saw that had like 800 shares or something crazy. Here's 203 shares, 835 shares for this one, which is a little raunchy, so I won't show you that long. But so there's lots of value here in this audience. So the thing to think about here is, you have an audience of 35,000 people. That's a lot of people, to tap out of. You think if you do the math on that, if you get even 1%, to give you $1 per month, $12 per year, that's $350 per month. That's $4,000 per year. That's pretty good for just a side project with the existing audience that you have, and that's not a huge conversion rate to make. So so that's fun to think about. Obviously, an online store, those can do really well. There's some nuances to doing an online store that we can jump into. One of my other clients is Duffel Blog. You guys have probably all heard of Duffel Blog. They have about 250,000 followers on Facebook. They put out content every day. We started a store for them, and that's been a pretty good way to go. In the e-commerce game, there's a whole nother set of rules for everything. So what we'll focus on right now is how to snag some cash out of content, specifically with you having a Facebook following. So the first thing to keep in mind is you can't make money off of people on Facebook. So there's nothing to like compared to like a website. Facebook doesn't pay you how many people are viewing your site. They don't pay you for the impressions, anything like that. Whereas if you have your own site, you do get paid for that. So like sites like Duffel Blog, if you go over here and click into one of their articles, I probably have an ad blocker on, so you're not going to see it, but they have ads, and so they get paid by advertisers. Actually, here's an ad on the right. They get paid by advertisers based on the number of people that view that page. So that's a piece of revenue for them. But Facebook doesn't let you do that. So essentially, to monetize, you need to have something outside of Facebook that you're able to sell them, or pull money in from. So you've got the shop now. That's an option. But what I would do for you guys, since you already have all this content, you've been around for a few years now. I think you said at least a couple of years, tons of posts. You can pull all those posts off, and you can create a website with them. And I'll get into why that's valuable. And it'd take you a bunch of time, but in the end, honestly, like I would end up possibly even outsourcing that for grab someone on a site like Upwork.com where you can snag freelancers from around the world, find someone for $3 to $4 per hour, give them the task of downloading all of the posts, and turning them into posts on a website after you set it up, and it's some pretty easy stuff, and be really inexpensive. Then you don't have to do all that monotonous work of downloading, copy, paste, all that crap. You can focus on creating content. Someone else can focus on pulling that content out. So coming back to that general idea. So I would create a website and have those posts, be their own distinct posts. A good example of, a meme-based website that's out there. So one is, there we go, is cheeseburger.com. They basically built a whole empire based on just memes. And they got sold a few years ago for a few $1 million, which is really cool. They're obviously producing a lot more content than you want to, but the idea works. And so this is how a site like this would work for you guys. So the first step is creating it. So you have these, the main page has links to all these other pages, and then when you click into a page, you'll go and watch this video. But the reason this is valuable is that you have an opportunity to show all this other content that you have and get people to click around to other content. The way that you can make even that little bit of revenue off a website is having people just staying on your website for a long time. One of Duffel Blog's biggest powers is that people go to multiple articles on their site because they're shared around to different pages. They see different articles on there all the time. So coming back to you, that's a good first step, is that you have this other place where people can go and they can see all your content. Because think about user number 34,940 that just signed up. They probably just liked your page because they just saw maybe this one that you guys pushed out yesterday, right? But what about all the other content over here that they might want to see? So
right.
You want to be able to give that to them. So
and how many and Aaron, how many Aaron too? How many people do you think? I mean, like, I cannot remember the last time like I dove super far back into like Facebook photos. I guess on Instagram people do that all the time. So that's another thing. Do you have it? Is there an Instagram page or is it just a Facebook page?
So right now there's no Instagram page. That Facebook page is all that exists for this community.
Got it. Actually, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of that, but I'm gonna alter my recommendation a little bit, kind of based on that. So, since you're focusing on images, Instagram is like your baby before even doing a website, because Instagram gives you that website. It's all focused on images. The cool thing also that you can do is, looking at this image, thinking about all the other images that you see on Instagram, you'll be thinking like, man, this wouldn't show up as well in like an Instagram feed. It needs a little bit of like refinement or something, so that people are like, oh, this is like more Facebooky. You can use tools like Canva. If you've heard of Canva.com, it's basically like Photoshop for dummies. This stuff is super simple. So here's like a social media one. I can drag in and do this even like right now. If I downloaded your photo on here, drag it into like here, and I can put like some cool like text over it or something, that's talking about what it is. Boom. Military cell phone. I mean, that's obviously, you're a copywriter, you'll think of something better, but that's the general idea, that you can create these like solid looking images in Canva that look like they're professionally made, really quickly, really easily, and then drop them into something like an Instagram account with the same pieces here. But then you also get to throw in get smart on your hashtag game and everything like that, and people will start sharing that around. That's a great place to build a following, because so 2 reasons on Instagram that it's valuable is one, the hashtag side is more robust, so people are clicking around between hashtags a lot more, so they're more likely to find your content and like your page, and 2, Instagram is still relatively focused on content based on when it was posted versus who has posted it. So what that means, is on Facebook, because you're a page, every post you put out there, less than 10% of your followers are going to see it. That's just the way that Facebook works now. Whereas if you're an individual, more of your friends will see it. So you have a bigger opportunity to get to grow a following on Instagram, especially because you're because you're image heavy, than you would on Facebook even. And the great thing is Facebook owns Instagram, so you can post between them. You can get you can advertise between them. It's just like a really valuable way to go. So changing my recommendation a little bit, I would go create an Instagram account. And with that Instagram account, what you can even do is you've got so obviously when you make new content, post that on there. But I would take all this old content that you guys have and pull it out of there, turn it into solid Instagram posts, and just queue that up and start posting it on Instagram. The cool thing is you can even so Instagram's a little heavy on the posting side. You have to do it all from within the app. You can only do it from a mobile device, all that stuff, which is a little bit annoying. But if you use a company like Later, which is free as long as you're only posting once per day, you can actually create your whole Instagram schedule ahead of time and build it online. So you could go in here and put your whole schedule together for Instagram, and then what will happen is you'll get a notification from the Later app on your phone when it's time to post based on your schedule. You basically click yes, it'll open the Instagram app with all the stuff that you've already pre-populated, click post, and it's there. Super simple. So the steps you need to do essentially to create an Instagram account and start getting that rolling would be to snag all your posts from over here on Facebook, turn those into Instagram ready type of posts. So use something like Canva to make them really beautiful. Don't pay attention to mine. That's obviously not beautiful. But use something like Canva to make all those really beautiful, the images, and then take all those images and the copy. Use something like Later to create that schedule with those posts.
Right.
Tie that to your Instagram account, and then after it's scheduled and all those posts are in there, you're basically just like posting, and create your schedule that you want to, queue up your new Instagram post. Maybe that's once a week. You put the next week's schedule in there or something like that. Especially with all these old posts, you could be doing 2 or 3 a day if you wanted to really grow that following.
Right.
And then the other piece on that would be, obviously finding the best hashtags to use on Instagram that have the most followers and things like that. That's kind of an art. I haven't found a tool that I love for that yet, so I'm not going to make any recommendations. But you can kind of get an idea based on what other people are doing that's getting a lot of shares. So growing Instagram following is also really, really valuable.
Aaron, Aaron, how about Aaron too? How about like post guidelines? So like, generally speaking, like 9 pieces of content for like one quote unquote ad. So as they go forward, when it's like posting like a merch alert or something like that, doing that like 1 every 10 posts. Do you have any kind of like guidelines on how much should be posted ad wise versus content?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good metric. 1 out of 10 is pretty solid. And I would even mix it in with like, so if you're doing like something like 3 posts a day. I mean, you guys are doing a lot less than that right now, obviously, but you do have all this old content. So if I made the assumption that your photos here are all of your old content, you've got 322, 177. So you got like 500 potential posts here. So if you posted 3 of those, or let's say 3 of those per day, that gets you almost halfway through a year, which is pretty good. And then you have all that other content later. So, something like that, if you're doing 3 posts a day, you could do, every 3 days you do 1 for one of your products, even just from your store. So that could be an option for you guys. Another great option is, if you're able to grow your Instagram following even, you might be able to see people that want to or people might jump out and ask if you'll mention them. I'm trying to see if there's any of your things here that kind of fall into that category of having a product mentioned or something like that. But if you have a big Instagram following, that's a good place to get just you can get revenue for mentions. Above all, though, here's actually another great option. If you're just looking at this as a side thing, you're not trying to become a millionaire. You don't want to like make this a full-time job yet, anything like that. A great option, even if it is just like a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and maybe you have that web page yourself that you post everything on as well, because that can be valuable. There's this company called Patreon, Patreon, and they're recurring funding for creators. So what that means is they basically let you set up a page. So I'm going to use Wait But Why's page here. So if you haven't heard of Wait But Why, it's just a genius little site that has 1 post a day, and check it out, waitbutwhy.com. But they're using Patreon. He's basically saying, hey, this is my side project, and I'm trying to raise X number of dollars per month to do these things. So like his is right now, hire a second employee, start a weekly podcast, make a video version, redo the website, all these things. He's saying, hey, I need to raise this much money. So here's the ways that you can do it. It's like Kickstarter for creators. So you can say like, hey, pledge $1 a month, pledge $3 a month, and you get these things, whatever. And you can set that up where it's just a recurring payment from those people. So going back to just on your numbers here, if these 35,000 people, if even 1% of those give you $1 per month, that's $350 per month,
right?
Which would fund you like creating a website if you wanted to create a website to get that started, like pulling all these memes down, and your audience would probably even be behind you on something like that. If they're like, hey, yeah, we would love to have like a repository of all these places so I can more easily share some of the old good ones with friends and bookmark them and things like that, right? And so if you're saying like, hey, I want to raise like $1,000, let's say, to build a website out, so that we can archive it, so that the community here has a better access to everything, they'd probably be on board. And a site like Patreon will help you to do that. So if there were real costs, use something like Patreon to raise money to build those things up, and even if you wanted to make some money off of it, take a cut off of it yourself. So that's a good way to fund some of these builds. I'm going to jump back into outside of the Instagram, outside of the Facebook side, why it's valuable to take all of that and even build a website out of it. So the reason some of that's valuable is, if you're getting people to click off into your website, you can make just some ongoing revenue through ads. So ads, you basically get paid by the number of impressions. And if your website is built kind of like Cheeseburger here, where you're able to click around to a bunch of things, and there's always something new that's vying for your attention. Like with one visit, you might get 5 impressions. And so that can really add value. Then the challenging part is pulling people off of Facebook or Instagram onto your site. But that can be pretty easy, if you're saying things like, see the whole post, click here to see the whole post or something like that.
Right.
So that's a reason that you would want to have a website. The other great reason is that you're able to get a little bit more data on the people that are actually following you. So right now you can use Facebook's publishing tools on the back end that'll tell you a general breakdown of who your audience is and what they like, but it doesn't give you like a big ongoing piece of like what they like. If you have your own website, you can just collect like a lot broader data on that audience. You can see which posts are being viewed the most. Like based on their tags and things like that, so what kind of content to create in the future for your audience. Because if you think about it, like right now, just with your Facebook timeline, you've got basically everything here is based on when you posted it. So this thing that got let's say like 834 likes, or 835 shares right here. That same post would not have gotten 835 shares and over 1,000 likes, 2 years ago when you were just starting. So your data is based on how big your audience is. With your own website, a lot of that data can be more evergreen, where even if it was posted a few years ago, it might get viewed a lot now. So even looking at like back to Cheeseburger, I have no idea when they posted this Patton Oswalt thing, but it's been upvoted enough that like it's over here and I'm clicking on it, and there's other things that are similar to it that I want to click on, and these could be from any time in the past, and I'm able to a site like Cheeseburger is able to use some of that smart thinking to get people to click around to the different things that will be valuable to those visitors based on the tags that are applied to it. So you're basically able to get a lot better idea of who your audience is, by pulling them off of those other networks and onto something that you already own yourself. And then from there, it's a lot easier, to like, so you can make revenue through ads. You can like build out new features. Kind of even thinking like the way But Why guys talked about. He wants to make video versions of some of the posts. You could talk about doing things like that. You have a better place to sell your products. Even like going back to Wait But Why, they have a store. You're just able to advertise all those things a little bit better in a more optimized way that's to your benefit on your own site. Whereas on Facebook, they're going to do things to their benefit. So they want people to like things, they want people to share things, they want people to comment on things. They do not want people to leave Facebook. So like that Shop Now button, though it's up there, it's not the primary goal. The newsfeed is always the primary goal on Facebook, because they want to keep you on Facebook. Whereas if you get people off your site, then you kind of get to control where you lead them around to. So, kind of, yeah.
That's no. I just wanted to say that also specifically with like products, you can get people more easily off of Facebook or off of Instagram or something like that with a product, because it's like if they're going to click on it, it's a very high intent click. So like I remember I bought charge cords off of Instagram because one of the sites that I follow had a bunch of charge cords ad, and I'm sure that that's pay-per-click or maybe it's CPA, I'm not sure. But it's something that had absolutely nothing to do with the reason why I was on the site. But the way they said it is they're like, hey, if you buy some charge cords, you'll support us so that we can post better content. Like that's all it was. And it was like, yeah, I do need some chargers. You know what I mean? So that sort of stuff where like if it's tangential to what you're doing, that's totally fine. But it gets someone to leave the site way more consciously, because they're not going to go click on charge cords if they don't kind of want to check out what a brand new charger would look like. And that's a way to like really draw high intent traffic that's more or less going to buy. And it's the same thing with posting your own merchandise, where that it's very predictable that every single time you get whatever 1% of people click through a merchandise post and 10% of those people buy. That every single time you post a merchandise post, that it makes you $65 or whatever it is. Based off the product. And they have data on which products are the best performing on their site already, so they can optimize to that end and show those products.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a good point too, just in the way that they presented that, the example that you're using, where they said, hey, like buying this supports us creating better content for you. Like honesty totally works, as veterans, like we put a lot of weight on integrity, and so does the rest of the world. But it's generally, like I feel like it's generally hard to find, especially coming from brands, So it's refreshing when someone says, hey, like running this costs money. And like I'm not trying to like squeeze, like a bunch of pennies out of you that I don't need, but like this costs money. Can you guys help? If you like the content, like buy this product. It helps fund like me creating better content. And the right customers, if you have a good community, they'll say like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's how the world works, and they'll contribute because they want to continue seeing good content. That's why. That's what's worked for Wait But Why and a bunch of other creators on sites using sites like Patreon, where they say, essentially like, hey, this is who I am, and this is why we're starting this account, and this is what we're trying to do, and this is our vision for all of it. And if you're on board, then jump in, and if not, that's cool. Like, continue reading the free content. It's free because we want it to be free. But if you can contribute, then like contribute, yay. And the same can be done with products or anything else. So that's a really good point, Ian. It's just on the like throwing an ask out there with a lot of integrity behind it.
Well, also with the piece of Patreon too, being very specific what you're asking for the money for and delivering. If you're like, hey, we want to get to $350 so we can order a batch of really cool koozies that we made. This is what they're going to look like. If you support with $1, then we can send out koozies to everyone who contributed, and then we'll also send 100 to soldiers who are deployed or something like that, whatever social cause that you want. Like that's such a clear, specific ask, and they get something very real and tangible out of it. It's a way easier way to build kind of that brand equity and have people interested in what you're doing. Aaron, real quick, do you have any questions? Aaron 1, do you have any questions right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to prioritize these efforts, kind of the few things we've talked about, what would you say is most important to start with moving from where we're at right now?
Yeah, great question. That was going to be my next piece, was kind of wrapping all of those into an actionable game plan, because this is the fun of the world right now, is there's a million things you can do, and most entrepreneurs get overwhelmed with that and then either do nothing or choose the easiest thing as opposed to choosing the highest value thing. So as far as like a really easy thing that I think would bring you a lot of long-term value, I would say get Instagram started. That's just going to give you another really good channel. It works really well with Facebook, where you can essentially, post from Instagram to Facebook really easily. So it just makes it really easy. And you'd be able to build your audience. It doesn't change a lot of what you're doing. It's not something like, okay, how am I going to build a website? What's my design going to be? All of those things right now. The thing that you want to do is continue building your community.
Right.
So, because 35,000, even though that's a ton, that's actually pretty small, right? Even like Duffel Blog, we have 250,000 likes on there. That's to some extent kind of small, in terms of Facebook. So you want to grow your audience. So I would say, go the Instagram route. And, doing that would be take all the past posts that you've done on Facebook, extract those out, turn them into, Instagram-worthy images using something like Canva, and then use, something like later.com to create that schedule for Instagram. And then, from there, your Instagram is essentially on autopilot. All you have to do is refill that queue of posts every week, 2 weeks, whatever you want that schedule to be. And with the posts that you already have from Facebook, if you even were just doing 2 posts a day, that gives you 250 days of posts just from the content that you already have on Facebook, right? So for 250 days, you can have your Instagram basically automated after you set it up. But that's a pretty actionable step, is setting it up. And then from there, you can focus on having those conversations like you already do on your Facebook page with your community. Having those same conversations with people on Instagram, that makes them feel like they're part of the community, gets them sharing things, stuff like that. So I would say that's the first step. Build out that Instagram and queue that up so it's basically on autopilot, and so that all you have to do is manage the community, have conversations with people. Okay. The next step would be to start focusing on building out your website with all these memes, because with like 500 posts, that's a lot of stuff to have people be able to click around on for a really long time. Like Cheeseburger has here, right? And they're all super small, incredibly digestible, or you could sit here and click around for hours, and it would take you. It wouldn't be overwhelming, So the next step after you have that community kind of on autopilot with stuff like Instagram and building up would be to build your website. And what I would do is I would use to fund the building of that website, I would use something like Patreon and create that page, with your very specific goals. Like, hey, we want to build a website so that we have, this, we have this archive of over, 600 posts, and you guys really love it. But, one of the things that we've heard from the community is that, like, they ask, like, oh, remember that post you did a long time ago? Can you send that to me? So we want to have that available online so you guys can find it on your own and, just, like, really have that archive. But obviously we need to fund that. So here are the real costs. This is what we're trying to raise. Create that kind of, like, Kickstarter type of Patreon campaign. And you can raise that money so that you don't have to pay for all of that out of pocket, because your community already is, like, they already want more from you. They already like what you do, and so they'll probably fund it if you ask them with a lot of integrity. So that'd be the next stage, is put that game plan together for what you want to do next, which would be, like that kind of website. See how much it'll cost, and create this kind of campaign. Have your community help pay for it, and then go build that, and then start optimizing on that, and then that's where that site, since you'll have a lot of ways to collect more data, you'll be able to find new revenue streams from that, whether it's through selling products, maybe selling services, teaching people how to create a community like you did. It really opens a lot of options when you have your own property that people are coming to that you can really deeply analyze. Yeah. Right. So to simplify that, build the Instagram following and set that on autopilot. Then start a Patreon campaign to raise money to create your website, and then tie all those together and give you the next step. I mean, that's probably, since it's a side project for you, all that together is like a 3 to 6 month project for you, but it'll definitely add value and create growth.
And Aaron, one of the things that we had talked about too was for like the Patreon campaign, like $1 a month gives you a digital high five. $3 a month gives you we'll send you a limited edition custom sticker in the mail that only people who pledge that amount get, and the rest of the the profits from that are going to go to build the website. Like that's so tangible and easy to understand, and you get something for being special. But like you kind of see on here, like you're a heroic person, blah 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 blah. You're the best, but like that's not super tangible. When you send someone physical in the mail, that's very easy. Like a sticker, which costs 47 cents to send in the mail and probably 3 cents to make, and your profit margin on that to build a website is pretty high. It makes you feel better as a customer of, hey, I really did something and I got something back for it. Depending on when you can get the actual site up and be super honest and transparent with that.
Yeah, right. And I would say even look at Wait But Why's Patreon page. They're not giving. I mean, as not a counter example, but even another example, they're not giving anyone any tangible things. They're just saying like funny things that their contribution will do for like $25. Like, hey, that'll be our hosting for a week. Thanks. So they're not giving their customers anything in return for their contribution. So that's also an option that lessens that overhead, and it's worth testing. So I would always test the lowest touch option to see if it works, and then go up from there. So to start, I would say just make something like this, where you're just asking for all these different tiers, and you have funny comms related blurbs under them. Like $25. That's the cost of like one battery for some stupid radio or something like that. Or like $1,000. Like who knows? It's all over expensive. But start there, and if you're not getting pledges coming in, then you can start adding physical incentives and stuff like that. Yeah, but I would still say start with the Instagram. You guys are visual. You already have all the content, so you don't need to create new content. You just need to alter it a little bit. Super easy. You can queue it up with later.com, and that's all on autopilot. You can start growing that audience even bigger.
For sure, definitely.
Okay,
cool.
So Aaron 1, any other questions from you or any other thoughts?
No, definitely appreciate it, guys. This is awesome insight, and really easy to follow. And I appreciate you sitting down with me and talking to me about what we've got so far and where to go with it.
Yeah, I love it, man. I want to see how it looks in like 3 or 4 months. If you try the Instagram thing, I bet it'll blow out. And
I want to give a quick shout out to my buddy who runs avgeekery.com, and this is where you want, and I'll put it in the thing. This is where you can get to, where you're getting to the point where you have a full-on site that goes beyond just memes and goes beyond just funny things or things like that to actually creating a ton of value for a community of people, the comm community that's super cool. So shout out to those folks, and Jeff is the man, and that's an awesome site. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for your time. Any other questions from the audience, just type them into chat or shoot me an email. And this was fun. I like doing these ones because entrepreneurship is not just about building a large scalable startup or a local business. It can be things like this and kind of starting your entrepreneurial journey. So thanks everyone. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. See you guys.